Dr. Gorka, thanks for joining us. So we just played sound of you describing this meeting you had with President Trump. Shortly after that meeting, President Trump posted on Truth Social, quote, "I ordered precision military airstrikes on the senior ISIS attack planner and other terrorists he recruited and led in Somalia. These killers, who we found hiding in caves, threatened the United States and our allies," unquote. So with these rule changes, if the president or national security advisor no longer has to sign off on every strike like that, who now makes that call?
Well, with the concurrence of Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, that has gone down to the combatant commanders. So this sheer insanity of the Biden administration, Jake Tapper. During Vietnam, we had the 6,000-mile screwdriver, and now we have the 10,000-mile joystick for the last 4 years, where every HVT high-value target had to go up to the White House, to the National Security Council, or even to the Commander-in-Chief. That is over. As the president posted in his viral social media post, if you threaten Americans or our partners and allies, we will find you and we will kill you. And that's exactly what we've done with more than 20 jihadis in just the last 53 days across the globe.
Do the standards remain the same so as to prevent unnecessary civilian casualties, regardless of who has the final say?
I am not at liberty to disclose the exact rules of engagement, which are classified, but rest assured that the warfighters and also the incredible members of the intelligence community who I was proud to stand with on the tarmac at Dulles 8 days ago, who found this individual. These people do their job with due care and diligence. So don't be worried, as you have seen in every single strike we've made in the last 54 days. There have been zero collateral injuries to civilians or innocent people. Jihadis have been dealt death from above, as they should have been for the last 4 years.
So last month, the Washington Post reported that the freeze on U.S. foreign assistance in Africa has, quote, threatened programs intended to counter al-Shabaab bomb makers, contain the spread of al-Qaeda across West Africa, and secure Islamic State prisoners in the Middle East, according to U.S. officials and aid workers, unquote. Are those cuts still in place? Are you concerned about them at all?
Is that the same Washington Post that propagated the Russia-Russia collusion hoax for the last 8 years?
Well, regardless of the Russia...
No, not regardless. You're quoting the Washington Post to me, which is as effective as posting for me or quoting to me any other pillar of the fake news industrial complex. I really couldn't care less what the Washington Post or the New York Times says, especially when it's anonymous government officials. If it's true, put your name to it. If it's not, shut up.
Well, let me ask you then, just in general, are any of these cuts to foreign aid or USAID, have any of them intruded on your counterterrorism priorities in any way?
The cuts are being made because of the ideological infection of AID and other parts of government under the administration of Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, which in many cases actually supported individuals whose views were antithetical to the founding principles of our republic. As the Senior Director for Counterterrorism, let me assure you, Jake Tapper, that nothing we have done in the last 53 days has undermined the counterterrorism capabilities of our allies or friends. On the contrary, just as we have unleashed the hounds of hell to kill jihadis, we have made our partners much, much more capable of doing the job they need to do. And I want to say right now, a thank you to Pakistan, who captured this individual in the border area thanks to an exquisite piece of intelligence that we provided after the president said so to our partners in Islamabad.
So that individual who was behind the Abbey Gate killing, that terrorist, has been arraigned in Northern Virginia. He is going to be tried in a criminal court. This is, I think, only, as far as I know, the second time that a foreign terrorist who killed Americans is being tried in a criminal court for killing Americans on the battlefield, I should be clear. The first was Spin Ghul, who was tried and convicted during the first Trump administration. It doesn't happen very often. Is there going to be more of that? Is there a role of the U.S. criminal courts for trying foreign terrorists who have done such things?
Well, let me be clear. This piece of human filth has confessed not just to the murder of our 13 heroes, our war fighters of Abbey Gate, but hundreds and hundreds of civilians. 160 Afghans died on that day outside the Kabul airport in that atrocious withdrawal and surrender of that base and Afghanistan by the Biden administration, by Mark Milley, by that disgrace to the former uniform he wore, Lloyd Austin. And this man has confessed to us, to our FBI flight team and the Pakistanis, to his involvement as a planner in more than 30 terrorist events spanning from Kabul to Iran and Russia. Hundreds of civilians. And how they pay, how they will see justice, that depends upon where they are, what we share with our partners and allies, and the incredible work of our Tier 1 assets.